So it is our time. So Happy New Year to everyone again. It's a pleasure to be here, starting the new 2025 in a good way. Let's do a quick prayer. Father that art in heaven, Master Jesus, all good spirits that are always pushing us in the good direction, thank you. Thank you to start another good year among friends, with a good lecture, with a good information, with the opportunity to understand a bit better ourselves, and who knows, get better prepared to work in your hands. Be with us through this humble study, today and always. So be it. So let me share the book with you all. And this is always a bit challenging. Can't you see the book?
Yes.
Lovely. So I know that you've started the item 318 last Saturday, but I will start from the beginning again. And as always, feel free to comment, ask questions, share your point of view. All right. All spirit phenomena are not equally easy to imitate. There are some that obviously defy every skills of illusion, particularly those involving the movement of objects without contact, the suspense of heavy objects in the air, raps heard in several places at once, apparitions, etc., except by trickery and collusion. That is why we have stated that in such a case, one must attentively observe the circumstances and especially take into account the character and situation of the persons involved, as well as their objective and interest in being deceptive. This is the best of all controls because there are circumstances that remove all reasons for suspicion. Charles already spoken about that, but anyway, I would like to highlight that it's important to know whom, where, and why. Whom is giving you the certainty that the person has at least a decent morale to be part of such experiments, where we don't see phenomena like that everywhere. So serious phenomena normally comes from organized places, or as we all know, poltergeists, for example, things like that. And why? Why is very important. If the answer for the last one brings any sort of return, financial, publicity, or else, beware. This could be something that's not really reflecting the truth. Okay? Therefore, we think one should be first distrust whoever makes a spectacle or object of curiosity and amusement of these phenomena, or whoever claims to produce them at will and at the appointed time, as we have already explained. It is worth to remember that spirits are not available to our will. They do not follow our orders. If you do have, like it says here, something that a specific moment in time, could be one of the indicators that things are not that serious. Oh, I see Charles now. Hi, Charles. Help me out if I'm saying something again. that
No, it's everything okay. No worries.
As we have already explained, we can never repeat too often that the concealed intelligence who manifest can be offended and want to show us they also have free will and they are not subject to our whims. It is enough for us to point out few subterfuges employed or which may be employed in certain cases for good faith observers to guard against. It would be a waste of time to try and dissuade those who insist on passing judgment without having delved into the matter. I think that to anyone that witness any phenomena, it's very recommended to try to dive into it, analyze as best as we can, and in case we cannot ourselves, try to ask someone that may have a better exposure, a bit more experience to this type of thing. Because nobody saw everything. Nobody has been exposed to everything. There's always someone that we can possibly contact to get another pair of eyes. A common phenomenon is that of wraps produced within the wood, which may or may not be accompanied by movements of the table or other objects being used. It is one of the easiest effects to imitate, either with foot contact or by causing the furniture to produce small crackling noises with it. However, there is a special little maneuver that one should be forewarned about. The hands can be placed close together, flat on the table, so that the thumbnails forcefully support each other. Then, by an entirely imperceptible muscular movement, a noise can be produced that is quite similar to inner typology. The noise reverberates within the wood, producing a complete illusion. Nothing is easier to simulate, as many raps as required, drum beat, etc. Then, responding to certain questions with a yes or no, with numbers or even letters of the alphabet. Once forewarned, however, it is very easy to recognize the fraud, which is not possible if the hands are far apart from each other, and if we are sure that no other contact can produce the noise. Moreover, true raps display the characteristics of changing places and tone at will, which cannot occur when produced by the cause we have indicated or any other similar ones. Thus, they may jump from the table to some other piece of furniture, not touched by anyone, the walls, the ceiling, etc., and also respond to unforeseen questions. I think that's very clear here. I don't see a need to elaborate, but if you want to ask anything or to help me out here, please feel free to do so. Direct writing is even easier to imitate. Without mentioning well-known chemicals, agents that make writing appear at given time on a white sheet of paper, which can be foiled with ordinary precautions. These rules can also occur through a skillful sleight of hand, wherein one sheet is replaced by another. Furthermore, the fraudster may distract one's attention while quickly writing a few words. Some have been known to write with a small pencil lead hidden in the fingernail. Apportation also lends themselves to a sleight of hand. One can easily be deceived by a more or less dexterous, even unprofessional, magician. In number 96 above, we stated that spirits themselves determine the exceptional conditions under which these appearances can occur, so that we may conclude that any willful uneasy obtained should at least be considered suspicious. The same applies to the directed writing. And it is interesting that he's even given the opportunity to people to use his comments against a true communication. Hi, Christine.
Oh, I was just about to say, when my brother-in-law passed the other night and I was helping him with some passages, one of the things that happened was a smell that I could ascertain. It wasn't a noise, but then another night, just before I heard him, before I found out he'd passed, it sounded like someone was walking in the room, but we've got carpet. But it was a definite sound of someone walking on like wood. But as I said, then it was a specific smell of something, which I could relate to him as a person, as an incarnate. Is that something that is a known thing, or not?
I cannot say yes or no. I cannot validate or not validate, because to come to a conclusion, if it's something like that, we need to analyze, we need to have a sequence of events. It's possible. It's possible. But I am not in a position to say yes, there was a true phenomena or not. I can't. Even when we are exposed to a sequence of phenomena for a certain period of time, we have to be cautious to say yes, it is. So I would say yes, it's a possibility, but I cannot validate as such. I feel that wouldn't be correct from my part to say yes, it was, But describing as you did, yes, it's a possibility. It's a possibility. But it depends on a lot of factors, depends on a lot of things, and I prefer not to say yes or no, because could be, couldn't be. So,
Thank you.
In the chapter on the special mediums, we mentioned that spirits regard as both common and rare mediumistic aptitudes. One may properly distrust mediums who intend to easily precipitate either apportations or direct writing, or who aspires to display multiple abilities, claims that are rarely justifiable. And something came to my mind when I was reading this one. Yes, that's fine. We can see it all in the book.
Mum, could you pass me some tissue, please?
I could hear someone speaking, but very, very low. Can you say that again?
I don't think it was a question, Guilherme.
Oh, okay. So I don't know.
Cross communication.
Yeah, that's fine. So, but nowadays, I don't see a need for anything like that. I don't see a point having those kind of meetings, having those shows as you used to have. Yes, I see a very clear utilization of mediumship, and that's what we do in our meetings. It's helping the spiritual world, those that are in need. Other than that, there are some activities that we use some mediumship phenomena that I still see why, and there is a positive outcome. But if you're not doing anything like that, what's the point, really? So we need to evaluate ourselves if we decide to go on that avenue, or be very thorough if we decide to follow someone on those lines. Because going to a place to have physical phenomena without having a positive outcome, or being more specific, if it's the product of what you see is not charitable in some shape or form, what's the point, right? Depending on the circumstances, intelligent manifestations offer the greatest guarantee against fraud. But even these are open to being imitated, at least regarding banal and commonplace communications. Some think that there is a greater safety concerning mechanical mediums, not only with regard to the independence of ideas, but also against deception. It's very difficult to find mechanical mediums nowadays. Very, very difficult. I never met one. We may have mediums that eventually they have some mechanical communications. That, yes. But a 100% pure mechanical medium, no. At least is my limitation. I never had the exposure to that. And speaking to others is not a common mediumship anymore. This is why certain persons prefer physical intermediaries. Nevertheless, this is a mistake, for fraud sleeps in everywhere. We know that with enough dexterity, even a writing basket or planchette can be directed at will, giving it all the appearance of spontaneity. You see that he's speaking here about something that Spiritism do not do anymore, using planchettes or things like that, right? Recently, I found a book that spiritualists still using. I'm not sure if it's correct information or not, but that was written in a very recent book that they still use those tools. There is no harm using those tools at all. There is no negative angle at all using those tools, but I don't know if it's true or not. I saw that Denise has a hand, but she's no longer there. She's gone. So when she's there.
Sorry, I went to open the door for the dogs crying. Sorry, I know that I should know that mechanical mediumship is the one that you write without being involved at all?
Yes.
Without consciousness? Okay, thank you.
In theory, a mechanical medium have no idea at all what's going on, and he cannot interfere in any shape or form in the communication.
Can you give an example that, because I also get a little lost here, like that should mean like the medium is only there because you use the fluid, the spirit use the fluid, and the paper, the pen you work alone.
No, I'll use the example of psychography, right? Because we can have psychophony, but I'll use psychography because it will give a better example. When I'm writing something, I know the words that are coming through.
Yeah.
The mechanical one has no knowledge at all. And one of the best examples I can give you is Chico Xavier. He used to receive messages and write two independent messages, one with the left hand, one in the right hand. Do you believe it's possible to do that, knowing what you're doing? I don't think so. That was an example of mechanical mediumship. Imagine someone writing a poem with the right hand and write clinical, medical text on the other hand. The medium was there, just the arms moving mechanically. That's why we call mechanical mediums, right? And that also means we have two spirits acting on the same medium, because same spirit could not be able to write two different things at the same time yet. So we had one that mechanically got control of the right hand. We have the second one who got the control of the left hand. So that's one of the best examples I can give you. But you can have that verbally as well, where you have no idea. And I had the opportunity to see mediums having some communications like that, because the medium is not switched off during the normal communication. He's here. He knows what's going on. He can even interfere in a word or not that goes through the mouth of his body. And recently it was even funny, because in one of the meetings, the spirit was really complaining. That's not the word I'm trying to say. I don't understand why I'm not able to pronounce that word. You know, we know why, because the medium is there controlling what kind of word can go out, limiting his bandwidth, if you want. But there are situations where the medium is switched off entirely.
If I receive, when we receive, for example, then we lost the control completely, then it would be mechanical.
The medium will lose the conscience completely. It's like he has a switcher that someone switched it off. So during the communication, he's off. He's off. He had no idea what's happening. He had no idea of space, of time. He's off. When the communication is off, is ended, the benefactor switch on the medium again. And then, well, I have no idea what I said or what I did. I have no idea. Right? Oh my God, I have 4 hands. So I'm going from left to right. So hi, Osoli.
Oh, Guilherme. Guilherme, if I understood it good, the mechanical is only to write, or because and then you heard you make up in the middle of the night, and then when you see, oh, it was a spirit there in the air, and they say something, and you say that another day to your guest, you say about so, and she recognize. What is this? She recognizes. I say, I know. I will try to meet her. Blah blah blah. What is this? What is this?
Well, this is something else. This could be a lot of things. Right? But this is not an example of mechanical.
Not mechanical. Thank you. It's only this. Thank you.
All right. Hi, Mania.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Hi, Guilherme. Since you mentioned Chico Xavier as an example of mechanical writing, I heard cases when Chico Xavier, he was writing the letters for the mothers who had lost children, and I heard that while he was writing the letters, his spirit would detach himself from the body and go around to see the needs of each one. And, so he was aware of everyone. He knew the name of everyone. Of course, Chico Xavier was a rare, very rare case of, mediumship, someone having different types of mediumship in its full extent as such. And also cases where he was writing and at the same time he was detached talking to Emmanuel or to another spirit. And in mechanical writing, the arm becomes just a robotic arm controlled by the spirits. And the medium is not aware of what has been written until he then reads, like anyone else, reads what has been written in the paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've used Chico because he's a well-known medium, right? He has 10, 12 different types of mediumship at once.
Yeah, and he's a good example of all types of mediumship in there.
Exactly. But there are mediums that are completely off during the events like that, right? And another example is that you could be speaking, giving voice to one spirit and writing another message as well, you know? And there's so many examples. I've tried only to give one example. And yes, we can use Chico to every single example, I think. All right. So now, Lolita, how are you doing?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Sorry for being late. I missed a little bit at the beginning. I've got a question regarding to the mechanical writing or a cacophony. Can a medium actually have moments of mechanical writing?
It's possible.
Okay, yeah, because sometimes I hear, or it happened to me a couple of times, that I couldn't remember writing a couple of things and I couldn't remember saying things. And people were saying, no, but you said this. And I said, no, I didn't. And I said, no, you did. And it was like, oh, what happened? How come I can't remember? So there is a possibility that you can have moments of the mechanical writing, of the mechanical speech. Okay.
Not remembering the communication is not a very good example of mechanical communication.
Okay.
Because you could have other reasons not to remember the communication or part of the communication.
Oh.
Because you may be put on off states, like because they know you will interfere.
Probably.
You know?
Probably.
For example, I love to do all sort of mediumship meetings. I really advocate towards the virtual mediumship meeting for obvious reasons. But I don't like that particular thing. I will never say that in virtual meetings I need to have the camera switched off, for example. Because I know that the camera needs to be on because it's a safety measure to allow the orientator, the coordinator, to ensure that the person on the other end will be okay.
Yeah.
But then the benefactor want to say something different. And they know that I will not say that. They will push me to say through the communication, and I will willing not to pronounce what he want to pronounce. So during that 3-4 minutes, they move me away or they put me to sleep to allow the body to pass the message to everyone to hear that you guys can always switch off your camera. And as soon as I pronounce what they need to say, they brought me back. And I had like a little void, because during this time of void was what they need to say, and they knew I would not pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the example I had the other day. When a spirit wanted to say a nasty word, the medium filtered. I would act like that. I would filter, because I don't agree with that at all. It is within my bones that I will not accept that. Yeah. And as they know, they switch me off a bit. But this is not really a mechanical communication, right?
Right. Yeah. No, that's what I said. You know, can you have moments, and why would it happen? So it makes sense of what you said now.
I normally like to investigate everything. If I see one event like that, let's keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I did question, and I said, okay, my question was how many times, how often actually happens that I switch off and I can't remember something. It hasn't happened that many times, and whatever I said wasn't actually anything that I would have like refused myself to say. So anyway, like you said, something to keep an eye on and investigate, and having an open mind about it.
Using another example, I used to do a lot of research. I used to do a lot of things related to mediumship. And in one event, I needed to ask a few things that I knew the medium was not very forthcoming
Mm.
in one of the meetings. So we start the meeting, and I asked to speak to the benefactor. Hi, good morning, blah, blah, blah. And then I asked the benefactor, I need you to put her to sleep. I need her to be entirely off to the next few minutes. Can you do that? Why? Because I will ask a question that I know there's a great possibility we'll have an interference. Okay, so be it. We had those questions. I had those answers. On the end, thank you very much. And the medium had no recollection at all.
Wow.
That's happened. On that event, it was more like a mechanical than anything else, because I kind of induced the communication to be more mechanical, you know. But this is not common. This is not common, right? Nowadays, the 99.99% of mediums, they have what I call mixed communication, where even though where you do not remember anything, you're still there. You're still in control, you know.
Mm.
This is more common.
Okay. Thank you.
So now, Yasmin, I'm with you.
Good morning, everyone. Hi. A question came to my mind. It's not really on mechanical mediumnity, but more like during, as you said, sometimes the medium doesn't want to say exactly what spirits would like to say. For example, if he is being vulgar, saying bad words and things like that. I totally understand it's normal to not let him speak 100% freely, like just to respect and to be polite with others. And what if, for example, a spirit needs help? The coordinator is going to is making a prayer and is explaining a few things, and the spirits would like to speak, but the medium doesn't allow it because the coordinator is making a prayer, and after that, the spirit, as you said earlier, complains. Oh, you didn't let me speak. Like, how about that situation?
I think we have few things in your question. First of all, my personal point of view is that there is a risk when the medium try to filter things. There are things that, yes, must be filtered, but there are things that should not be filtered. And the medium, because he can read so many books that it's a medium obligation to filter everything, instead of being helping, he's doing something different. Because during the communication, the spirits also need to express themselves. How the orientator will know which is the best direction to go if 50% of the message I have the medium interfering? Now, the message the orientator will be receiving is at least good part of the message is not helping him to do his job, right? So I used to say to people that a medium is like a pipe. That's why it is the name medium. It's a go-between between the spiritual world and our world. The best medium is the one that allows the message to pass through the pipe, arriving clean on intake, clean on outtake.
Even if the coordinator is making a prayer.
I will go there. I will be there. Bear with me. I will arrive over there.
Could you repeat, please? I couldn't understand.
Just wait a minute. I'll come to you on that point. I will answer your question very shortly.
Okay.
Okay? So I need to make clear that, yes, if I start to swear one after another, fair enough, let's control a bit. If I try to hit the table or hit someone in front of you or hit your colleague next to you, fair enough. It's a good example that where we must control. But if the medium starts to believe that he needs to control everything, I'm not in favor of it. Not at all. Because you will corrupt the message to a point that the outcome may not be what we expect. The outcome, I mean, the help he needs to receive won't be able. And I'll give you an example. We have a spirit who was passing a message menacing the orientator. We need to know that. We need to hear that. So we'll be able to address this properly. If the medium, for any reason, decide not to say those words, well, the orientator won't be happy with me, I should not say that, you're not helping. You're not helping the medium, you're not helping the spirit communicating, and you're not helping the orientator. Because you are doing some makeup to what you think is right. And we need to be sure that the medium's job is one, the orientator job is another one. Because something very common too is that mediums are led to believe they need to do part of the orientator's job. No, they do not. For example, if I have a spirit that very agitated beside me when it's not my time to speak, yes, you can speak to the spirit. Calm down, my friend. Your time will come. It's almost there. Wait a bit. You have your time. You have the right to speak very shortly. That's one thing. But when the communication is happening, we should allow the communication to happen. Not interfere to a degree where the outcome message may not reflect the truth of what's going on. Right? Now going back to your question, when a spirit wants to speak during the prayer, for example, a serious mediumship meeting shall be organized, must be organized. And as everything, there's time to speak, there's time to listen, there's time for the prayer, there's time for everything.
I didn't mean the initial prayer, or I mean, I don't know if it can help you.
You talked about the prayer when we orientators are speaking to the spirit.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, just to be clear. Yes, sure. Yes.
There's no problem to speak.
Okay.
There's no problem to speak because he'll be giving feedback of what we are doing. And when, as orientator, we do make a prayer during the conversation with the spirit, in a different word, we are magnetizing the spirit. We are doing some intervention on the spirit. So sometimes it's even positive to know how this intervention is working. All right? But if we are truly magnetizing, if we know how to do, and if we are heavily magnetizing the spirit, he may not even be able to speak anymore on the end. Right? I'm not giving people the push to allow the spirit to speak at any time. It's not what I'm saying. But in an event when that is happening, I would allow that to happen, at least first, initially. If that becomes a routine, and then I would say this is more the medium than the spirits they are communicating. Because sometimes the mediums also create a routine from themselves where they believe this is the right thing to do, and they allow things to happen because they like. I will use your example, for example, Yasmin. I had one communication, and during the communication, the orientator decided to do a prayer, and then I allowed the spirit to talk during the prayer. That was so nice. I was so happy that every time now when any orientator will do a prayer, I will allow the spirit to talk. And then is the medium they are feeling help, is the medium who was feeling empowered because he felt like, oh, that was good. And he started to create routines. Another example of those routines I'm talking about is, for example, in our organized meetings, we have a number of communications for several reasons. In our meetings, as you know, we have 2 communications per medium. But the medium thinks, oh, I'm here, I can be more helpful than that. I will allow any spirit to come and to talk. I will stop that medium because this is not what we do. This is not an organized meeting. That becomes anything else. And if we do not learn how to control our mediumship, we could have those events in a supermarket, in a dentist chair. Imagine you are over there with an open mouth with a dentist, and then, well, I'll pass a message here because this message is very important. I believe the spirit wants to speak to the dentist. Is there any right? No, that's not right. So we need to create a routine. And part of routine is what I call learning mediumship, learning through the studies and learning through the practices. We control what should and should not happen. Did I answer your questions, Yasmin? Good. So now we go to Camila.
Yeah, this topic is interesting, right? Because then you all can help me try to learn and understand better. Because that became one of my biggest fears. This part, if okay, in the dentist, all these places, you not allow the spirit to come because you are not open for that, right? You close, you don't. When came, you close. But in a section, in a medium session, you need to be open to allow. So but we also learned that we need to be careful with the spirit. So how my fear is like this part you let the spirit to take over. How you control that, right? Because before you give it the message, you need to let it
Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there because you bring in so many things in a single one, and I will get into it. Right? One thing that got my attention a lot: the spirit does not take the control. Period. The medium always have the control. The medium needs to learn how to have a good control. Right? That's why we have the mediumship practices. That's why we have mediumship meetings. That's why we learn in a serious environment to allow us to develop our mediumship safely. Not everyone knows how to do it. Not everyone knows how to teach it. That's why it's important to know that you are in a safe environment to do so. Otherwise, it could be different, right? And every mediumship group has a routine. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but sometimes, from time to time, we see mediums that believe they are doing things that are right, and they are not. They are doing things that are risky. When we start to develop a mediumship, we start with very slow steps. And then in a safe environment, I start to learn, yes, that's okay to do it. Yes, that was not very okay to do it. So I need to learn how to control that a bit better. I'll give you an example here. Well, from time to time, we have the gift of receiving mediums totally unbalanced. Totally. They have communications on the dentist, on the supermarkets, on the streets, and quite often the family, because they do not know mediumship, they do not know what's going on, we take them to a clinic, to a physician. The only thing a physician can do is prescribe drugs. And sometimes they prescribe some time off in a clinic, for example, a psychological clinic. So there are several cases of people that had nothing other than mediumship that they are put in treatment, specific treatment clinics where It's not ideal, right? So I'm giving a very chronic example, right? In that case, yes, the person needs now to be exposed to the theory and now to be exposed to the practice. The person does not need to study for 5-10 years before someone thinks she or he can go to a mediumship meeting, because you do not learn mediumship in a book. It's not possible. You learn the theory of mediumship in a book. Mediumship, you learn within the practice, and the practice in a safe environment, right? So one of the fears is that, can I lose the control for a spirit? If you are in a safe environment with a good and safe group of benefactors, you need to make a call. You need to decide, do I trust my guardian angel, my benefactors, or not? If you don't trust yourself, if you don't trust the benefactors, if you don't trust anything, I think it'll be very difficult. But then you may become exposed to the case I said here. You become totally unbalanced to the point that you have mediumship events in your work, on the streets, everywhere. Because when mediumship calls, you cannot stop it. You cannot stop it, right? Control mediumship is part of the practice. For example, in our mediumship meetings, we establish routines. But if you are a beginner, we teach you the routines, we tell you what is supposed to be happening, but if it happens something else, there's no problem. You are learning. There's no problem. We, the orientators, will bring you to a more concise method, if you like. For example, if I'm a beginner, first time in a meeting, oh dear, I'm so nervous, I'm afraid, I have fear about everything, because it's very common, very normal. And it's time, for example, for Munir to give voice to spirits. And I lost control, and the spirit go away anyway and start to talk. There's no problem. Because you're learning. You're learning. So we'll help you, okay? Now, that was fine, one event, maybe 2 events. Now we need you to come to a more concise method. And then that's come naturally. That is why we learn practice, the development. We never learned how to be a medium from the day we left the womb of a mom. No, these are sequence of events, of practices who led us to control mediumship. All right? So now is Lolita. Tell me.
Right, I've got a question which is related to what we are studying, but is a broader question. So I would like to hear from you, and if possible, from Charles as well. And my question is something I have been in the doctrine for about 10, 12 years. So I've got lots to learn. I come from the spiritualist side. So mediumship has been with me more, well before I was into the spiritist doctrine. One of the things, and it's a question that has been with me since the beginning, is the following. Why do the spiritist movement not allow spirits to talk more often? Let me explain and let me expand. For instance, you go to a congress, you hear everybody speaking but the spirits. You go to a study, you do a profound study and there are mediums there are responsible mediums. In a study, there is a good environment, there is a protected environment, and you hear everybody talking but the spirits. And so on, and so on, and so on. Yes, you hear the spirits in a mediumship, environment, which is fine. But what I feel, and I have been feeling this since the very beginning, is why on earth are the spirits not allowed to talk more often? Why are we controlling so much of what is being said in the spirit doctrine? Us, yes, we're studying about it, we're learning about it, and yes, most of the studies that we do came from the spirits themselves. But why are we not allowing messages to come true, like in congresses and studies, etc., etc.? There you are.
I love your question.
Good.
I really do. What? 10 minutes. Let me see if you can do in 10 minutes. Well, first I'd like to remind us all that if we are medium or indoctrinators during this incarnation, we have been prepared to be mediums or indoctrinators on the spiritual world. We had a lot of books that endorse what I'm saying. So we are prepared to be mediums before we were born. Okay? Perhaps takes a bit longer to realize we are mediums. And quite often we realize when we have certain age already. But I have plenty of examples of kids being mediums, and the spiritists don't know how to handle them. That's a different thing. Okay? So allow spirits to talk. Well, you talk. I'll use 5 minutes. I'll give 5 minutes to Charles. Well, I'm not a good example because I do allow a lot of things to happen that most of the spiritists, they are afraid of, right? And I will start what I'm going to say is that I work with the spirits. I work for the spirits. And the spiritism is supposed to be both working together. But there is a lot of spiritists who are afraid of spirits. And that does not help, right? That does not help. I would say that I would not allow spirits to speak anywhere, everywhere. Sorry, I would not allow spirits to speak everywhere because there are places and places. But if I'm working here, if the spirits that I know, that I trust, because I work with them for 20 years, wants to take over to speak something, it's all yours. And people that work with me on mediumship meetings know that I allow them to speak when I'm orientating another spirit. It was not like that in the beginning, because what happened is we are framed in so many shapes and forms by the books we read, by what other people think are right, and then we are afraid about doing something. We cannot do mediumship meetings at home. We cannot do virtual mediumship meetings. I cannot allow a spirit, a benefactor, to speak through me when I'm orientating someone. I cannot. And then I always had something with me. Why not? I always ask, why not? No, your answer does not suffice me. Then I ask the spirits, can I do that? No, you cannot do because of this, this, and this. Fair enough. Yes, you can. For example, virtual mediumship meetings that we have now 8 or 9 a week. I've spoke to them first. Is that something I need to do? We are ready. We are waiting. Okay then. So we need to work with the spirits. Otherwise, it's not a spiritism. If I'm doing a lecture, for example, and there's something that needs to come, so be it. When I'm doing, on the end of a study, for example, there is a prayer. We always do a prayer on the end. They want to take over to do the prayer. I have no problem with that. Not at all, right? But I understand people they are afraid because they are not used to work with the spirits sometimes. And sometimes if I allow one communication in front of a gathering, for example, a lot of people that are already afraid will be more afraid. And that is also something else that I'm giving food for thought for Charles, and I allow Charles to conclude. And there's another thing too. we are here, I think we are around 20 here in this room. If I allow one spirit to start to talk to me here, El Soli will think straight away, look at that, he's trying to be on the spotlight. And then I have Pablo who will say to me, what a show off, you know? And then I have somebody else who 100% animism. And then people start to be afraid about being judged. And that is something else too. What I'm saying, I'm not giving incentive to do anything at any moment, any time. No. But if you do have some control measures, if you are familiar with the benefactors you're working with, why not? I had an example. We, in our Spiritist Center back in Brazil, one spirit that we worked for decades came to us and said, tonight I'll be in front of the gathering during the lecture, and I have a message to pass. No problem. He did. No problem. The medium was a bit uncomfortable. No problem. No problem at all. We need to decide if we work with the spirits or not. With the spirit. I have a simple example on the healing. There are so many people defending that I just need to lay the hands on the top of the head. There are spiritists defending something else. And then, because I'm a medium, I feel that my hand is going where I don't want my hand to go. But I cannot allow that to happen because I read in the book ABC, that's not right. Do we work with the spirits or not? Yeah. I'm not talking about any spirit, any scenario, any situation. But if I'm working with a spiritist group, a serious spiritist group, I'm working with the benefactors, same group for decades. I know the results of what they do for what they've done for the last 30 years. Do I trust them or not? Then it's for each one of us to answer that question. Charles, help me now, please.
Yes, Guillaume, there is not a lot to add to what you said. Indeed, we are studying here mediumship. Why? Because before practicing anything, it's good to study in order to practice insecurity, to be sure to avoid frauds, to avoid by the spirits or by humans, whatever. Now, this does not justify what we see also, and you are fully right. There is a kind of a elitization in the spiritist movement. I would maybe say, particularly in when the spiritist movement is religiosified, you know, because you have the old habits from the religions coming. You know that Jesus was a medium. A lot of apostles were as well. The first Christians were extremely open to that. And then came the hierarchy saying, stop all this. We want to have the exclusivity of this. And then they are inventing, yes, because you need to study, you know, it can be dangerous, whatever, as a pretext to go to the other extreme, which is also not good, you know. So it's always a question to find the right balance. And when you say in the congresses there is no mediumship, we don't allow the spirits to talk. Sometimes they talk, let's say, in a kind of a second plane by inspiring the ones which are doing the lectures. But sometimes it's open, you see, Divaldo writing or Bezerra de Menezes whatsoever. So because Divaldo has a certain authority, the people respect him, he has given proof through the books he wrote, whatever, etc. The danger of this is you will have a lot of people, you know, Divaldos here around, which are not so trustable and not so serious as Divaldo himself, you know. And this may also cause a problem. The same with Chico. Chico was writing letters. I think they were mentioned by Guilherme during this meet today.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of people starting writing letters, you know. But today with Facebook, with whatever, it's much more tricky to do that, you know. And there are huge problems because of this, which at the end are jeopardizing the causes. That's why it's exactly what we are studying now, the frauds, the people to willing to be a Chico or willing to be a Divaldo, starting making frauds, and that is then messing up the whole stuff.
Right.
But where I fully agree with Guilherme is Kardec and Léon Denis and a lot of others were much more open to the mediumship. They were also always saying and repeating, you see, now that everyone in his family can go and contact the grandfather or the grandmother, whatever, you know, they were even encouraging those things. They were maybe a little bit ahead of time because, you know, the mediumship is developing only with the evolution of the humanity. But I think now we are already a century later, and the best proof of identity you can get is when you get these spontaneous things, messages into a small circle, you know, not always in Congress, or not when you go and see a medium and ask him something and he's saying, here is the spirit of your grandfather or your grandmother. You always can be suspicious. But when it comes through you or through your son or through your brother or whatever, it's different. It's much more convincing and a lot of times much more authentic. Of course, there is a danger saying, yeah, but if they start doing this without studying, they may end up obsessed. Yes, it is a danger. But Kardec took the decision to publish the medium's book openly. Everyone can go download, buy it, read it. You know, it was not. He stopped with this sayings or teachings which are only restricted to initiated people. You know, this is finished now, and I definitively think. People who say, no, before to be medium, you need to study during 3 years and study mediumship during 2 years. And only then you can start beginning. And only if you're approved, you can. That's totally wrong. It's a wrong.
I was a medium well before I joined.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So definitively, I think it's overdone and you are fully right in your comment.
Let me just be here. I will pass a few minutes today because I knew 10 minutes wouldn't be enough for that question. But I do a lot of different things. All things I do, I use Kardec to support what I do. So far, no one could point me in Kardec's books that you shouldn't do that or shouldn't do that as well. No. Show me in Kardec. And as Charlie says, they were doing exactly the opposite. They were pushing us to do things. But people is afraid, right? And I would suggest everyone to study Kardec, to learn what is there, the pros and cons. And if there's no cons clearly mentioned in Kardec's, do some evaluations, do some research, do some attempts, trials even. And then you come to a conclusion, yes, it's positive or it's not positive. But if you don't do trials, basically it's just a guess. A guess will not work. And I personally don't work with guesses. I work with facts. And another thing I want, just to conclude, Charles says about obsession, right? Briefly. That's why it's very important to study. And do not understand me wrong, study today and always. There is no option for a medium. And by the way, I never met anyone in a mediumship study that was not a medium. Okay? So the risks of an obsession are greater if I don't practice mediumship, if I'm a medium, ostensive medium, of course, than if I practice. You will be, in an obsession case, More often, if you don't know what you are, if you don't know how to prevent things, then the other way around. So there are a few words, there are a bit of taboo on the Spiritism: obsession, animism, and others. Let's first understand and study what they are, because we speak about them very often without really knowing them. And I'll stop here, otherwise I'll speak too much.
Sorry for me. Sorry for
No.
asking you such a
No.
short time, but thank you.
No, that's okay. And if you guys want to come back on the subject next weekend, I'm very happy to. So where is Raphael? Is Raphael
It's
not?
me. It's going to be me.
All right. All yours then. Let me
Thank
just
you so
stop the
much.
recording here. So stop sharing. Stop the recording. Oh dear.
Okay. Okay.
Good. All yours.
Thank you. Let's close our eyes and let's connect with Jesus. And let's thank God, our divine creator, and thank him for the opportunity to gather and learn about mediumship, this blessed gift that connects us and connects the material and the spiritual worlds. May the lessons we've studied today bring light and understanding, and also strengthen our commitment to use this knowledge with responsibility, humility, and love. We are grateful for the presence of the enlightened spirits who have certainly guided us and inspired us during this study. May their wisdom continue to illuminate us, to illuminate the path of our facilitators, and helping us all to grow in faith, in patience, and understanding. And shall we all together send our vibrations, our loving thoughts to all of those who are suffering. Let us all together pray and vibrate for all the souls in zones of conflict, in places where the war is still going on, asking God to help each one of them, asking for peace, asking for understanding, asking for reconciliation in the hearts of those who plant discord. May the ones who are suffering be comforted, and may those who are working towards harmony and healing and peace be strengthened in their missions, and may hope prevail in their hearts. And may we also extend our prayers and our vibrations to all of those who are struggling with mental health challenges, particularly those who are enduring despair and having thoughts of suicide. May they feel the light that comes from all of us, bringing them hope in their hearts. And may they all be supported by compassionate hands, people who love them, people who can see them, and people who can help them. And let's also pray for ourselves, asking that God continue to give us courage and wisdom to continue in our spiritual journey, and may our hearts remain open to all that is allowed to us around us, making our path more lightful and making our path, our steps, in harmony with the divine God. And so be it, and so it is. Amen.
So be it.
So be it.
Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.